Okay, hey everyone, and welcome back to another pick a card reading on my channel. Thanks for stopping by if you're new here. Really appreciate you taking a risk on my channel. It's pretty new in the tarot community on YouTube, but always appreciate you having a seat at my table and especially checking out this series that I have on my channel called the Saturday Morning Vibe Check. So every Saturday I'm going to be uploading a new video where we just dive right in and we take a look at the common themes of energy for the weekend, maybe the week ahead. Maybe it's something you just need to know right now. Just grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever your favorite morning beverage is, and get cozy and let me do the energy vibe check for you. Sometimes in a Saturday morning vibe check, there will be a theme. Other times it'll just be like a generic, like, what do you need to know right now style of reading. In today's pick a card video, and specifically today's Saturday morning vibe check, we're going to be taking a look at why maybe you're feeling a little bit stuck in your life right now. Maybe what it is you need to know, or a message waiting for you to help move you through some feelings of stagnation in your own energy. So really looking forward to diving right in and taking a look at the cards that we have laid out for you today. If you're new to pick a card readings, welcome. The premise is that, you're going to pick a pile based on whichever one that you're most drawn to. Try not to go based on like the crystal that's provided there unless it's resonating with you. But really just try and use your own intuition to pick your pile and, really lean on that inner voice in your head and your gut. If you were going to walk away from this table and from this reading, which is the pile you think you'd want to hear from the most? That's typically how I take a look at tarot card readings, and especially pick a card readings on YouTube. So, to help you pick out your pile today, we have a pile 1, which has the white turquoise crystal, and these are all in heart-shaped forms. A little bit of self-love today. Pile 2, we have blue aventurine. And pile 3, we have the red agate. Kind of hard to see there on my dark cards. So if you already know what pile you're most drawn to right now, the timestamps will be linked below. If not, no worries. Take a moment. Feel free to pause the video if you'd like and really meditate. Again, really try and lean in on your intuition and see which pile is drawing you in the most. All right, everyone. I'm going to give you some time to pick your pile, and I'll see you over there. Bye. Okay, hey there, pile 1. If you chose the white turquoise heart crystal, then this reading is for you. So let's take a look at why maybe you're feeling a little bit stuck, and maybe some messages to help guide you through this time. And we'll try and figure out maybe some things that you can do to help feeling unstuck, or maybe some messages that might give you a look ahead into, maybe this is a week ahead, maybe it's within the next month. Just some positive messages to help you in this time of stagnation. So in the reading, we're going to be taking a look at 5 tarot cards and then 2 oracle cards. And then I do have a separate tarot deck, which I'll be pulling from just to get some more messages in your reading. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. My goal today is to make these as straight and as visible as possible. I've been having some interesting technical difficulties. I've been noticing as I've been uploading my videos, the cards that I lay out will start to go wonky. So my goal is to keep these straight and completely visible for you. Okay, so we have the 3 of Swords. Starting off your reading strong. We have the 10 of Pentacles, the 2 of Swords, we have the Wheel of Fortune, and the 8 of Cups. I can't get these to stop moving. Okay. So pile 1, I think it's very clear just by the 3 of Swords showing up first in your reading that you're going through a time of healing right now. So I think if you are feeling stuck a bit, which is kind of interesting that you have the 2 of Swords here as well, that could be why. Right now might just be a season of healing for you, which is totally fair and totally fine. We all go through those seasons. I'm a big believer in that, our lives, we just go through seasons, and sometimes you're going through it right now. So yeah. Okay, pile two. So I think it's very clear that you're going through a time of healing right now, right? With this Three of Swords showing up in your reading. I think maybe a little bit like in this season of healing for you, like you might be sort of stuck in like that like analysis paralysis of like what to do next. I think on one hand, maybe you're in a situation where you're suddenly being forced with I hate saying force, it doesn't seem like the right word, but maybe you're just being presented in this season of your life of, having to sort of like let go of either a dream, or maybe it's sort of like what you always thought your life would look like. Maybe you're a person who always wanted that like wife and kids, or a husband and kids, or a big family. And, maybe some things just haven't necessarily worked out for you yet in that way. And you're sort of stuck in this like analysis paralysis of like, well, what do I do now? Because that was like my biggest dream. Like that's what I saw my life as since the day I was born was, this sort of like perfect life. And I think what's important to know there is that even though we might have like those hopes and dreams, sometimes they don't work out for us for a positive reason. Not to say that you, just because it's not happening maybe in the timeline that, you were hoping for, maybe, this is just kind of a specific example. So if it resonates, take it. If not, just leave it. But, maybe you just turned 30 or something, and you're single, you don't have you're just like violently single, you're not dating anyone. But like when you were maybe like 10 years younger, you set out this goal for yourself. Like by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be married with 3 kids or something like that. Like the house, the dog, like the whole thing. And maybe that just like hasn't happened for you yet, which again, I want to like emphasize the yet, because I think because it's here, I think it's sort of like in your energetic field, and it's totally possible for you to obtain. But maybe there was like a little bit of like, oh, I'm not going to be willing to put in the work to get this hope and dream. It was just sort of like relying on the universe to bring it to you. Or I guess I'm kind of like, I could fall into this boat myself. Like when I turned 30, I was a little bit devastated that none of those things had happened for me yet. And now that I'm much older, 36, they still haven't, but it's fine. But I was always just like under the impression that like the universe would just like make that happen for me, which like maybe that's something that you're sort of like relying on like internally, is like the idea that like you might not have to go out and meet people, or like maybe you have like a specific control over the situation. Like maybe the message is to be a little bit more open to the idea of maybe what that ideal life actually looks like for you. Maybe this is something that like, like your parents are really hoping for, or your guardian is really hoping for, or maybe it's just something that you've always wanted. And it's a little bit upsetting, to like understand that like maybe something has happened where it's like, oh my gosh, like this isn't going to happen for me, which again is totally fine. I think the fact that you have the Wheel of Fortune in your reading suggests that like right now, I actually had this, or I forget which tarot reader, it was on YouTube, who described the Wheel of Fortune as sort of like a Ferris wheel. And like sometimes it's kind of like describing like the wheel of life, like all the different seasons of your life. And sometimes, you might be at the top of the wheel and things might be like top of your game, like things might be going really, really well for you. Excuse me. But then sometimes like life will bring you back down, but that doesn't mean that they won't come back around again. So it's kind of like maybe right now you're in sort of like a lower energy and like a lower feeling of like, okay, that didn't work out for me. Like what's next? But I think what's next is going to come from, maybe you seeing things a little bit differently, and maybe being honest with yourself about maybe what it is that you actually need and not maybe what society tells you that you need in order to have this like happy life. I think this woman in the card, she's obviously like a little bit elderly. She's, I always see in the Ten of Pentacles, the elderly person is almost like looking at their youth in a way, looking back on some of the decisions they made to like get to this ultimate happiness in terms of like career or family or health, whatever it is. So I think that that's definitely possible for you. And I think you can definitely have whatever that was, like whatever that dream was. It's just having to be open to maybe like a different possibility. Like it's almost like walking away from, maybe right now you're being like faced with like walking away from what it is that you had defined for yourself in your life. And sometimes within that, you can get like a lot of positivity. You can really just, in this moment of healing, like really dig deep and really start to understand what it is that you need in this life. And again, like I know I said this earlier, but it's like being honest with yourself about that, and maybe like admitting to yourself that like, okay, maybe I'm actually not cut out for that like specific life or way of living. It doesn't mean that I still can't have those things. It might just look differently for me, and that's totally okay. Okay, so you have, with your Oracle cards, we're looking at the Moonology deck here. So you have a new start is coming. Yeah, and I totally see that for you. Like it's almost like having to like walk away from this idea and not being afraid to do that. It's almost like emotionally, like, I don't want to say like sever ties, but it's almost like letting go of control of what that sort of ideal life looked like for you. And then I think once you sort of like do that, I think the universe is going to start like again, if we go back to the example of the Wheel of Fortune being like a Ferris wheel, you're going to start to feel it start moving again. Like maybe right now you're like, if again, using the Ferris wheel example, like maybe you're on the Ferris wheel and, sometimes you get to like stuck at like an annoying part and you're like, okay, I'm a little bit afraid of heights. Why am I stuck here? Why isn't it moving? It's like that like uncomfortable feeling. But sometimes it's like, the first time that ever happened to me when I was much, much younger, like a little kid, that's when I sort of realized that I was uncomfortable with the thought of being stuck in a high place. So maybe it's kind of like, that's like the analogy is like, maybe right now you're in a season of uncomfortability because you might be being faced with the reality of like what's meant for you in this life, which can be kind of scary. Like I totally, totally agree. You also have communication is key. And maybe there's someone that you really need to like open up to about this. A new moon in Gemini is the message on here. I mean, maybe there's someone like within your family, for whatever reason, I keep feeling like sister, and again, like, or brother, however that resonates for you. But I think it's like, maybe get out of your own head a little bit, and like talk to somebody about it. I think that might help as well. Like talk to someone, open up, and maybe within that conversation, the awareness starts to come in and you'll start to really feel like, okay, I think this isn't as scary as I thought. I'm going to be okay. I can still have like a big family one day. It's just right now isn't the time for that. Or maybe it's, maybe you went through like a horrible breakup recently and you really saw a life with yourself with that person, and you were so convinced that that was your person. And maybe it's sort of being now faced with the reality of like, okay, if I move on, will I still have those hopes and dreams of having a big family, having a big, loving, like a lot of kids, like a house, like all the things that you want. And I think that's totally fair to want those things. It's just maybe this isn't the right time. And that's totally okay. It doesn't mean that they're not going to happen. It's just, you have to wait for the Ferris wheel to get moving again. It's totally okay. But yeah, I think communication is key. So like I said, I think have the faith that like a new start is coming. It's in your energy for sure. I think it just has to do with like being honest with yourself, and then also like doing the painful act of kind of like honestly like not even like walking away, but just kind of embracing the unknown. You don't know that when the wheel starts moving again and you get to the top of the Ferris wheel, it's not going to be the most beautiful life you've ever imagined. Like even more beautiful than like when you thought about it with that person maybe that you just broke up with, or whatever it looks like. Like maybe, you lost a job or something and it's like, oh, like how am I supposed to like have this great, beautiful life now without this salary? It's like, well, okay, just like maybe if you're honest with yourself, you kind of realize that like within that job that maybe you lost, it's like you wouldn't have had the time to have had like a big family anyway, So I think right now it's an uncertain time and I think it's totally fair to feel stuck. But just know that a new start is definitely coming for you. And I think it's going to be even more perfect than you ever could have imagined. All right, let's get some more messages before I wrap up your reading today. We're going to be looking at the Illuminated Tarot deck, which I really like. It's actually kind of like, it reminds me of like a deck of cards, like a traditional deck of cards, but I think it's kind of cool actually. And I haven't used it in a while, so we'll see but I was like super drawn to use it today. So we'll see what messages come out for you. So what does pile 1 need to know to help them move forward from being stuck? I feel like I want to pull 2 cards, so let's see. Okay. Wow, you got 3. So let's just go with it. Okay, actually I need to use like the guidebook for this one because I haven't used it in a while. Okay, so you have the Knight of Clubs, or Wands, I should say. You have the 3 of Cups and the 10 of Wands. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, yeah. I think when it comes to at least trying to move out of this feeling of stagnation, again, this actually is like my reading because I feel like I'm getting the picture, the sense of someone who's not like, who might be feeling a little bit more like reclusive right now because you're feeling like maybe a little bit in like hermit mode, like if it's like, oh, I just went through this breakup and you're like Elle Woods, like eating chocolates on the couch. Or, like I lost my job last year and I know how difficult that could be because it came super out of the blue. But now a year later, I'm like even happier than I ever could have been in a position that I absolutely love. So, but within those moments, I think it's important to still like kind of like live your life a little bit, like I said, like communication is key here. And like opening up to someone, like go out, like have fun with your sister, or brother, or whoever it is that you're really close with in your family. And maybe it's not even about like opening up to them. Obviously, like whatever you feel comfortable doing in your life, like don't like just do this because I'm saying to do it. But I think by opening up, going out to like a new restaurant in your town or going for, a drink or a mocktail, like that might help make you feel at least a little bit less stuck, like a little bit less like you're carrying the weight of this like on your own. And actually what's kind of interesting is like the way that I'm looking at this person in the 10 of Wands is like they're literally drowning in their own like the weight of like what's on their, I don't want to say mind, but like what's in their heart maybe a little bit, like they're like, oh, like I have all these things going on right now and I'm feeling like super stressed about it, like I can't carry the weight on my own. So I think even if it's not literally opening up like in a communication sense, like verbally, maybe even just like going out and like taking a walk, sitting in the park, like I said, getting a mocktail somewhere, trying a new restaurant, like going out with friends, like getting coffee with a trusted family member. I think that'll help you offload a bit. I think also maybe it would be interesting, I'm getting like a specific message if you and a couple of friends went and did something creative together. Like what if you guys went to like one of those like painting classes or like a photography class, like something like that, like get involved in maybe like a class or something, like put yourself out there, I think is sort of like the message here, and really just sort of like open up your energy to the new start that's inevitably coming. And I think you're going to feel like, okay, like by trying this new pottery class, I met a bunch of new friends and they make me feel really positive. And now I feel like my energy is starting to shift. I think that's what it is. It feels like when I'm really thinking about like summarizing your entire pile, it feels like there's one sort of maybe in your life, like a tower moment happened or something sort of happened for you, which made you sort of like 180 on the direction of your life. And you're kind of in that period of like reflection and being honest with yourself. And I think the message to help you feel unstuck here is to sort of like literally shift your energy. You know, like I said, like do something creative, open up, like open yourself, like take a dancing class. Like sometimes I like the idea that like if even in like manifestation, for example, like if you're feeling like your manifestation isn't happening or whatever, I don't even want to say that because that means you're controlling it. But, you know, I've heard where sometimes if you like get up and move or like try and manifest through movement, it'll come in for you. So, you know, that sort of just popped in my head. So maybe that's a specific message for someone, but I think the idea here is definitely about getting out there, opening up your soul, being vulnerable, however that works for you. And I think genuinely that new start is going to come in and you're going to look back and be like, wow, like, remember when I was just like stuck watching, you know, like cheesy romance movies on TV, not doing anything, you know, just, if you need to do that, that's fine. And sometimes I do, but I think the message here is now is a time to, in the moments of self-reflection and being honest with yourself, it's also a time to open up and be vulnerable. So, pile 1. These are all the messages I have for you today. I hope this resonated. Stay tuned for more videos. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye. Okay, hey there, pile 2. What is up? Welcome to your Saturday morning vibe check. Pick a card reading on my channel. So excited you're here. Like I said in the intro, in today's pick a card reading, we're going to take a look at the energy surrounding you this weekend, particularly if you're feeling stuck in any aspect of your life. Could be love, could be career, could just be like general life stuff. We're taking a look at it today. So take a seat and take a sip of coffee because it's getting real. Pile 1 had a great reading, so I'm really excited to dive right into yours and see what the universe has for you today. So if you chose the blue adventurine heart crystal, then this reading is for you. Let's take a look at what your cards. Sorry, this blue adventurine crystal, she just wants to keep turning, but you know we love her for that. She's stylish. She doesn't want to sit. Yeah, that's fine. She's cool. She's just gonna rock and roll. Okay, so we're going to take a look at your tarot cards first. I also have, you guys got 3 Moonology Oracle cards. Look at you. And then I also have the Illuminated tarot deck for some final messages at the end of your reading. Okay, but let's start with your tarot cards. I said this in pile 1, but my goal today is to get all of these on camera and straight. So we will see. Wish me luck. Okay, pile 2. We're starting your reading off with the Knight of Cups. Cute. Oh my God, the Lovers. Sorry. I don't know why I just got so excited. Sometimes when I see the Lovers, like in my own reading, I'm like, okay, like vibe. I'm killing it. I'm soulmate, you know, like whatever. Okay. The Moon. The 4 of Swords. And the Page of Cups. Like I said, my goal is to get all of these on the frame. So let's move them down so that you can see your reading. Okay, pile 2. So I think this is a pretty straightforward reading so far, just like off the hop for me. So I think that some of you in pile 2, maybe you're in a situation where you just met someone and you're like, okay, this feels really good. But maybe you have like a little bit of like a past, or they do. But you're also a little bit like major crush vibes. Like you're just like crushing on this person and you're like head over heels, like, holy crap, I don't know how to move forward because you are just in awe of their entire essence. Immediately you have a lot of like emotions in this card or in your reading, right? So you have the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups. So to me, it's almost like your reading is bookended by this, like, I'm a little bit shy to take action, but I want to. And then it's like, no, I'm going to take action. I'm going to go for it. But then it's like, I'm a little bit shy to take action, but no, I'm going to go for it. And I think right now you're sort of like in your head a little bit, and you might be in a place where you're just genuinely like, I don't know how to come forward to this person. And maybe it's like someone you work with and you're like, okay, like if I, like you're really in like an analysis mode right now where you're like, okay, if I come forward, like what impacts will that have either on our work-life balance or our, not balance, but like our work-life relationship or, or maybe it is balance. Like maybe you're thinking really long-term. It's like, if we work together, like how is this going to work out? Or, maybe it's just sort of like you're in your head, you're like, okay, if I like come forward and I tell, John or whatever, like how I feel about him or her or them, how are they going to feel about that? Like, would that completely impact our friendship? Maybe it's like your best friend that you're like, maybe it's like, in Clueless when she's like, oh my God, I love Josh. It's kind of giving you that vibe, but I do think that to help you feel like maybe you can come forward a bit, there is sort of like this feeling of, aside from the fact that you might be like really in your head about it, like rolling around in your bed, like, oh my God, like today's the day. Maybe it's almost like you set a goal for yourself where you're like, on Monday, I'm going to tell them how I feel. And right now you're like, oh my God, why did I set this goal for myself? I am dying, like emotionally. But I think what's important to know is I think that you're totally valid in maybe your feelings toward them, because there's definitely like the lovers did pop out. And it's funny how like in the beginning I got excited because I was like, oh, soulmate, for sure don't want to put that much pressure on you or that much pressure on this potential connection. Obviously don't be like, okay, I need to now reach out to this person because Corinne said that they're my soulmate. Like, just all right. All I'm saying is that the energy is there. So I think that this could potentially be like a long-term connection for you. And honestly, what I'm seeing with the moon card is it's almost like not the typical description of the moon card, but I kind of see you guys as being like, maybe for the first time in your life, you feel like you could be your authentic self with them. So it's almost like if this helps you in any way, if you're feeling stuck on how to move forward, or if you should move forward with this person, or tell this person how you feel, I think you guys are like two weirdos. It's kind of like how I pictured these two people like dancing. Like, you have like similar interests, but you're just different enough. Or like there's just something about it, you just feel it, like a deep connection with them. Like maybe you had, a couple of dates with them and you're like, I'm like, it's too soon to feel like this deeply connected to this person. Like what, like, why do I feel so deep? Like, why am I so in my head? I'm never usually this connected or feeling this connected to somebody. Or maybe you feel like you can be your most authentic self. You can be honest with them. You want to spend all your time with them. And it might be a little bit stressful. It might be like, okay, this is like way too much too soon. Like, I don't even know, dude. Like, I can't, like, I am in my head forever. But I think just the fact that you have the lovers and a lot of like emotion on either end of the spectrum of your reading, I would actually argue that they might feel the same way about you. Maybe they feel like they want to come, maybe they feel like, you're their equal, your counterpart. There's a lot of like counterpart energy here, like where it's not like you're necessarily like the exact same person, but it's like a complementary sort of energy to yours and vice versa, that I think you guys would have like this like happy, like fun relationship, like where you're just kind of like vibing, like maybe you guys like met at a rave or something. I don't know why that's like this to me just I'm not getting like the typical moon reading here. It's giving me like we are two weirdos. We love to go out and party all night and like howl at the moon or whatever, like maybe you guys met like in the middle of the night on a full moon or something. And what's interesting to me is like, I'm sorry, this isn't the typical reading for the moon card, but the way that I'm reading it today, I guess it is what it is. This sort of shadow person coming out of the water, I like, maybe it has to do with like your past. Okay, sorry about that, pile too. I had some technical difficulties with my camera, and so now we're back. So anyway, what I was saying is that there's something about maybe like your past, which maybe is either holding you back, or maybe it's this person's past, which is holding you back, or them back, whatever it is. But I think that those are like sort of like the general reasons of why you might be feeling stuck. I think, you feel like this could be a really deep, positive connection for you. You feel like you connect on a lot of different commonalities, common themes, but you feel like it's just like really complementary to your life, which can be a little bit scary and overwhelming. So I totally see why you're overthinking things. But I think the message here is kind of like, just take a deep breath. Maybe when you're ready, come forward to this person. I think you might be pleasantly surprised. So let's take a look at your Moonology Oracle cards, and we'll see, and then we'll get some additional messages at the end. So you have conclusions are within reach, which I totally agree. I think that, like I said, like it's, maybe like you're putting this person on a pedestal almost, but I think the message really here is that like, they're really not, they're just another person, like, I guess I'm getting that from like the within reach thing. Like they're still within your reach, or they're within your league, so to speak. So I think there's nothing really to worry about there. And I think that this card really shows that. And then something else that's interesting, I know so I'm in the United States, so this might resonate for you, but there's supposed to be a total eclipse, I believe, next month in April. So maybe that time frame is important to you. Like the eclipse part just sort of like caught my eye. So I figured I'd let you know that. We have balance, spirituality, and practicality. So that's interesting. I think what I'm getting the most out of this is balance. So right now I'm filming this in Pisces season. So maybe it's saying that like within this time, like it's okay if you're in this sort of like overthinking things, but really like bring things a little bit more balanced. Like don't feel, maybe you're coming on really, really strong to this person and then like pulling back and then like maybe it's like you are being like super hot and cold, and it's sort of a product of you feeling really stuck because you're really, really into this person, totally innocent. But I think it's about bringing balance into those feelings and coming into, reaching out to this person or coming forward to this person, or even if you're only just started dating them, like be honest, tell them how you feel. Nothing, it's going to be okay. And then also nothing is yet set in stone. So again, maybe, and something interesting that I just thought of is like, maybe you're in a situation where in this sort of a situation, maybe you sort of like tested the waters yet. And like, again, like there's something about this past, that is giving me like a feeling of like, okay, well I had these feelings in the past for a different person. It didn't really work out that way. So now it'll never work out. So why should I even come forward to this person, even though I feel like it'll be awesome? I think, nothing is set in stone the way that we think that it is. It's not, will this happen? So therefore it will happen every single time, I guess is sort of like the feeling that I'm getting. I think it's important to recognize the fluidity of our lives and our emotions and who we are even as people. Maybe it didn't work out in the past, either for you or within this person's own history, because, they were a different person then, or you were a different person then, you were a different person in that other relationship. We're allowed to learn and grow. And I think that is sort of like the beautiful part about relationships in life is that, it's fluid. Sometimes your feelings might ebb and flow even for this person, and that's totally fine and totally normal. But I think, again, like by bringing balance into your approach to this, I think will help alleviate the feelings of being stuck for you. So let us take a look at the Illuminated Tarot deck, which is actually kind of like a really cool deck that I got a couple of years ago. And it's interesting because it's really reminiscent of like a true deck of cards. With some really interesting artwork. So it's some cool interpretations I think can come from it. So let's get a couple messages just to see what else we can get for you, pile 2. Okay. We're getting 2 messages. Wow, spicy. Okay, so you have the 7 of Cups and the 6 of Cups. That's really interesting that you got the 6 of Cups here. I think... Wow. Okay. I think that this person, like I said, I don't want to put a ton of pressure on you or this relationship, but I think, again, I'm getting this feeling about the past, either your past or this person's past. Maybe you've always had like a lot of options in the past and you're kind of like, wait, why is this one person like totally sticking out to me? I think, again, not putting too much pressure on it. I think it's because there might be like a deeper spiritual connection here, which is interesting because you have like spirituality and practicality here as well. And also sort of like this idea of like yin and yang, you know? So it's sort of like I said earlier, like you're very like complementary to each other. And I think that can be scary, especially if you are experiencing that for the first time. Like it might even like turn you off in a sense because you're like, okay, I am so used to like the toxicity in a relationship. I don't know, you know, and like all these different options, whatever. I don't know, like if I can handle like an authentic connection with like one person. Like it's almost like what it is that we truly want. And when we sort of like connect in that way, it can almost be like scary and being like, nope, I don't want that. And maybe that's why you're feeling stuck right now, is because of those feelings. But I think the cards are really suggesting that this person or this connection could be deep. Again, I don't want to, it feels kind of early on in your connection. So I don't want to overwhelm you with the possibility of like, this is your soulmate, you know, maybe if you're not ready for that type of message just yet. But I think with the Lovers and the Six of Cups being in your reading, I think I would probably start to treat this a little bit more seriously if you're not already. And I think if that might help you come forward and tell this person how you feel, maybe, you know, maybe take that advice. But again, I don't want to like give any advice that makes you feel uncomfortable, and don't do anything that, you know, would completely like make your own decision in terms of when you're ready to come forward to this person, or if you even want to. I'm just telling you, I'm just sort of showing you what energy is available. So if it helps in any way, like where you're feeling stuck, I think this could be like a really positive connection for you, and I think will be very healing too. So anyway, pile 2, those are all the messages I have for you today. Sorry about the technical problems I had, you know, trying to get that figured out, but for the next reading. But thank you so much for having a seat at my table. I'm so excited to have you here. Check out my channel. I'm pretty new to the YouTube tarot community, but I'm really excited to be here, and we'll be posting more videos and more Saturday morning vibe checks coming up. So stay tuned. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, hey there, pile 3. Welcome to your Saturday morning vibe check and today's pick a card reading, where we're going to take a look at the energy surrounding you today, this weekend, and maybe just explore some of the reasons why you might be feeling stuck right now in your life, and with some clarifying messages at the end from the Illuminated tarot deck on how maybe you can move forward and help move you out of those feelings of stagnation. So without further ado, if you chose the red agate crystal, then this reading is for you. So in today's reading, we have 2 oracle cards, which I'll get to after I read into your 5 tarot cards. I'll have these decks, all the decks, linked below. And my goal, I keep saying this in each video, but my goal today is to spread the cards in a very straight line. In some of my other videos that I uploaded, I was like, why did the cards go crooked? It drives me nuts. So today's goal is to get them straight. So anyway, without further ado, you have the Queen of Pentacles. Lovely. The 2 of Pentacles. Justice. The 3 of Wands. I'm going to move everything down so that you can also see all of the cards in your reading. And finally, the Chariot. Okay, pile 3. I feel like right now, it's not necessarily that you're like, I don't want to say that you're not feeling stuck, because, you know, obviously you're here for a reason. But if I'm being honest with you, it feels like you're kind of like at the top of your game. Like almost like what I'm seeing is like someone who has recently like come out of like maybe a place of like maybe like you're on the up and up with your finances, your career. You know, maybe you had like a recent situation where you felt like karma has been going in your favor lately. But maybe you're also kind of feeling like just because you're experiencing these positive things, you know, doesn't mean that you can't still be feeling like stuck, I guess. Because you're obviously waiting for something to come in. Like it's almost like you're waiting for like almost like what's next. Or maybe this is kind of like a specific message, but maybe you're kind of waiting on like something to come in which allows you the freedom to like make some of your own choices in your life, like meaning like maybe right now you live in like more of like a rural area and like you're working remotely or something in this crazy awesome role, but you're sort of like waiting for a new job offer to come in where it'll give you a little bit more like creative freedom as well as like moving to like a city, for example. Like it's almost like you're waiting for some sort of like news to come in to like help move your life along. And maybe it's like more in the direction that you want it to go. I'm not necessarily seeing that like, though, like I said, like I don't really feel like I think you're like the least stuck pile 3, if I'm being honest with you. Which is great. I mean, sometimes we just need a little bit of a check-in to be like, oh, actually, you're not feeling that stuck. One other message that I'm getting, and this is sort of very specific, so like don't, take what resonates. If it's not your message, it's not your message. It's not like it's gonna happen. I don't want to like put any fear in anyone's life, but I'm feeling like maybe some of you came out of like a lawsuit like in your favor, and now you're kind of like, okay, like it's almost like the lawsuit was because of a separation in some sense. So like either a lawsuit or like I hate to say like a divorce or like something like that, where you sort of like came out on top, but now you're sort of like, okay, this kind of like changes my life in a sense. Where do I go next? Or it's almost like you're waiting for, I think, the universe to like bring in for you like what's next. It's almost like you're waiting for the universe to deliver this like what's next moment. You know what I mean? Like you might have some ideas, you might want to start your own business, and maybe you're sort of like playing around with like different ideas, like what you want to do. Like if we're going back to the example earlier of like waiting for like a new job offer to come in, like maybe it's honestly like you started your own business and like maybe you started like a new startup or something, like a extension of that existing business, and now you're just sort of like waiting for the success of that to come in, kind of. Because right now, like I said, like I don't really feel like you're very like stuck in terms of, like pile 1, like going through like a healing period, or like pile 2, like not really knowing how to like move forward in a new relationship. Like I feel like you guys are good. I feel like you're on top of your game. You're doing really well in like balancing your finances, your career, your life. There is sort of like the element of like a karmic reason as to why you're feeling so on top of your game. Like you were rewarded like this new, maybe like the job that you're waiting on is like you are waiting for that to like take place after like a really positive like and your end of review at work or something, and you're just sort of like waiting for like that new title, and you really feel like that new title is going to put you on this path of like, now I'm finally going to be able to make the decisions that I want to make in my life, kind of thing. So it's really like, I think right now what you need to do is kind of, in my opinion, just looking at your cards, is really just know that if you are waiting for something like this to come in, it's going to come in. I think it's going to come in like pretty quickly, honestly, with the Chariot. But I think, because that's kind of like a faster moving energy in my opinion, but it's almost like you're not going to see it, like it's almost like the way you're almost like, maybe you're kind of almost like controlling the way that this is going to come in for you. Like maybe even like manifesting too. Like maybe you're like manifesting this new job, this karmic thing. This like, again, like justice, like obviously is why that's giving me the like the lawsuit vibes, but it's going to be in your favor almost, is like what I'm kind of like feeling, is like whatever this karmic lesson is in your favor, and it's going to come in for you. I think you're just not going to expect it. Like if the Chariot is that thing that's going to be coming into your life quickly, if you notice how the girl on the 3 of Wands is like patiently waiting for her ship to come in, but it's almost like this is on the other side. She's not even like leaning towards it. She's really just kind of like focused on something else. And I think that's something important. I think it's about, if you're manifesting it, like letting go a little bit and expect the unexpected. And I think it's going to come in for you pretty quickly, honestly. But I think right now it's just a lesson of like being patient, honestly. Like do your best right now. Like, excuse me, like if it is a new job, like, and maybe it's like a new job with like a huge pay raise or something, like what can you do right now to like prepare for that? Like maybe, and this is like something that I would do, is like go out and like start spending money or something, because like, oh, I have this like new salary coming in, like I can afford this even though I can't just yet. Like don't do that. Like have the patience. Like, I think it's like that patience, which is making you feel stuck. And it's like, but you're really not stuck. It's just sort of like you're in this weird, like, waiting period for like this either money, career, something karmic to come in for you. And I think because you know that once it does, you're going to be sort of like off to the races. You know what I mean? Like off and running. Like I said, there's an element of like moving to like a city from like a more rural part of town, maybe vice versa. It's almost like something that you've been manifesting for sure is kind of like what I'm feeling for sure. And I think it's going to come in for you, but I do think that it's within that patience. Like it's almost like you can't miss it. You know what I mean? But it's going to come in unexpectedly and you're going to be like, oh, wow, holy crap. Like this is it. It's happening. Because like that always happens to me too, where I'm like, the second I stop thinking about that thing that I want so badly, it comes in and it's like, it's there. And I'm like, oh, okay. If I had only just let go like 3 days ago, it would have been here even sooner. But I think that's really your message. And it's about being comfortable in being patient is sort of the vibe that I'm getting. So let's take a look at your Moonology oracle cards and get some more confirmation here. Okay, so emotions are running high. Yeah, I think right now the feeling, you might be feeling stuck because it's like you're sort of like impatient about the fact that it hasn't come in yet, even though it's already been promised to you, or it's almost like written in paper. It's sort of, again, like what I'm getting from the Justice. Like, it's like written in stone. It's, you know, this is coming. It's just a matter of waiting for that to come in, whether it be like, maybe it's even like a new house. Like, again, like if you're moving, like maybe you just bought a new house in like a new city, like overseas or something, and you're like waiting for the keys, you know, and you're like, oh, like I want it. I want it now. It's about being patient. And I think it's this emotions are running high. I think it's the emotions that are running high, at least from what I can feel and see, is that feeling of impatience. And I think if you can bring some balance in and just sort of like be comfortable in the waiting period, I think it's gonna come in quickly. And then you also have look at the bigger picture. So again, I think this kind of reminds me a little bit about like manifestation, where it's kind of like, yeah, you might be like manifesting like a new house or like this whatever, new job, whatever it is. But it's about almost like letting go of control of like how that comes in for you. And sometimes for me, at least, it's about looking at the bigger picture. It's like, okay, maybe the universe is bringing me something even better than I could ever imagine. Like, it's almost like zooming out and seeing your life from like a different angle a little bit and being like, okay, this time right now is probably, it feels like a million years. But I think in like a year from now, you're going to look back and be like, that actually was only like 3 weeks. Like, it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Because it's really just like this feeling of like impatience. It's like, you know it's coming, or like you can feel the manifestation coming in, or like, you know, like I said earlier, like it's written in stone, or you signed a contract or something. You're just waiting for like that final step to actually get you there. And that can make you feel so stuck. Like, I know, I hate that too. I never wish that on anybody, honestly. But again, I think your biggest lesson is patience and being comfortable with being impatient, which is, I think all these readings in some way like resonate with me personally. And I think this one definitely does for sure. So let's get some more clarifying messages from the Illuminated Tarot deck, which I don't use that often, but I think it's an actually really cool deck. I was really drawn to it this morning. It's actually kind of like the art is kind of like a traditional deck of cards. Listen to me. I'm crazy. And the artwork is really cool too. So let's see what messages come out for you. What would really help pile 3 be comfortable with these feelings of impatience? And I apologize if you can hear something like rustling in the background. That is my cat Sophie. She's playing with her kickaroo. So she is going to town on that right now. What will help pile 3 feel comfortable in the impatience, or sit with their impatience? Oh. I'm going to get a couple cards for you. One came out. I'm going to get one more, and then we'll see what the universe has to say. Oh, okay. Okay, so you have the 8 of Swords and the Six of Cups, which actually came out in the last reading as well for pile 2. So, okay, pile 3. I think you might be in your own way a little bit in terms of like I said, like the impatient feelings are what's having you feel the most stuck right now. But I think it's like if you look at the bigger picture, like the Moonology Oracle card is suggesting, I think you'll see that like this time period of waiting is necessary. Maybe it's only for your own awareness so that you do eventually get out of your own way. Like maybe you'll experience something just like this again in the near future or in the future, and you'll be like, you know what? I was impatient last time. I'm not going to do that this time. And I got it. I got out of my own way, and I just kind of like felt comfortable. It's almost like have fun. You know what I mean? Like right now you might be waiting. You're good. Like you already have this, I don't want to say like set in stone, but it kind of feels that way where it's like, it's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. So like don't stress about it. You know what I mean? Like have fun. Really like lean into like maybe like your inner child a little bit and like get out of your way by doing that, I think is also important. Like I feel like feeling impatient sometimes can be like an emotional driver for like healing your inner child. Sometimes it's like the little kid that's like impatient, like waiting for like a lollipop or something. And it's like, okay, like you don't even know you have a piece of cake at home. You know, you don't need the lollipop right now. Like it's fine. So I think that's what it's about. It's kind of like getting out of your own way because what's coming is great, but you don't need to worry about it because it's coming. You know it's coming. You know it's on its way. It's on its way. Being like feeling like that, I know sucks, but like I think that's just your message, pile 3, is just kind of like be comfortable with being impatient, and just have confidence in knowing that like if you do feel stuck, it's only because of your own internal feelings, not because something changed or something bad is happening where it's not going to come in now. Like don't start thinking about that. Don't overthink it. You know what I mean? Just go with the flow, have fun right now in your life, and just have the faith that like whatever this is, it's coming in for you. It's coming in soon. So all right, pile 3, those are all the messages I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. Stay tuned for more pick a card readings on my channel and also more Saturday morning vibe checks. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.